something. The moment someone disrespects you, your real character is revealed. Not when they praise you, not when they admire you, not when they agree with you. Your true power appears the instant someone tries to reduce your value. Most people lose that battle before they even realize it has begun. Their emotions take control. Their anger becomes visible. Their pride demands revenge. Their words become weapons they can never take back. And that is exactly what the other person wanted. Disrespect is often not an attack on your worth. It is a test of your self-control. Powerful people understand something that ordinary people never learn. Every insult is an invitation to abandon discipline, an invitation to become emotional, an invitation to prove that someone else controls your state of mind. The strongest people never accept that invitation. They understand that respect cannot be demanded with louder voices, longer arguments, or dramatic reactions. It is earned through emotional mastery. Today, you will discover how truly powerful people respond when they are underestimated, mocked, ignored, or disrespected, and why their silence often becomes louder than any words ever could. Because the person who controls their emotions controls the outcome. Every person will eventually face disrespect. Someone will ignore your efforts. Someone will question your intelligence. Someone will laugh at your dreams. Someone will treat your kindness as weakness. The mistake most people make is believing that disrespect begins with the other person. It doesn't. Disrespect becomes powerful only when you allow it to enter your mind. The outside world has very little control over you until your emotions surrender permission. Think carefully. Why do strangers have the ability to ruin an entire day? Why can one sentence erase hours of confidence? Why can one insult stay alive inside your mind for years? Because the greatest battlefield is never outside. It exists within. Powerful people recognize this before anyone else. They know that emotional reactions create invisible chains. The more reactive you become, the easier you are to manipulate. A calm mind cannot be controlled. An angry mind becomes predictable. That is why mature strength looks almost invisible. When others expect shouting, they offer silence. When others expect revenge, they offer patience. When others expect weakness, they continue improving. This is not passivity. It is strategy. There's a difference between responding and reacting. Reaction is immediate. Resent is intentional. Reaction belongs to emotion. Response belongs to wisdom. The individual who reacts immediately hands over control. The individual who pauses decides what deserves energy and what deserves nothing at all. Energy is your greatest currency. Most people spend it on people who have done nothing to earn it. They argue with strangers. They defend themselves against rumors. They explain themselves to people already committed to misunderstanding them. Every explanation becomes another opportunity for judgment. Powerful people understand that not every accusation deserves an answer. Not every opinion deserves attention. Not every conflict deserves participation. Sometimes walking away is the strongest statement possible. Silence is often misunderstood. Weak people think silence means fear. Wise people know silence can communicate complete confidence. The mountain never argues with the wind. It simply remains standing. That is real strength. Your reputation should never depend upon winning every argument. It should depend upon remaining consistent, regardless of who challenges you. People observe far more than they admit. They notice who loses control. They notice who stays composed. They notice who desperately seeks approval. And they notice who continues walking forward without asking permission. Confidence does not announce itself. It reveals itself through behavior. When someone insults you, ask yourself one question: does this person deserve access to my peace? If the answer is no, then why surrender it? Too many people give emotional authority to individuals they would never seek advice from. Think about that. They ignore wisdom from those who love them, yet lose sleep over criticism from those who barely know them. That is misplaced power. Respect yourself enough to protect your inner world. Not everyone deserves entry. Some people only appear in your life to distract you. Others appear to expose your insecurities. Every difficult encounter becomes a mirror. It shows whether your confidence depends on yourself or on public opinion. Real confidence survives criticism. something. Fake confidence depends upon applause. The world constantly tests which one you possess. Powerful people never chase respect. They become so disciplined, so consistent, and so valuable that respect eventually follows them naturally. Their attention remains fixed on growth rather than revenge. Every hour spent proving someone wrong is an hour stolen from becoming stronger. Imagine two people receiving the exact same insult. One spends weeks replaying the conversation. The other spends those weeks building new skills, creating opportunities, improving health, strengthening discipline, and expanding knowledge. Months later, who truly won? Not the louder person, the stronger one. Life rewards progress more than arguments. People often believe power is domination. It isn't. Power is remaining yourself while the world tries to provoke you into becoming someone else. The greatest victory is emotional independence. When your mood no longer depends on other people's opinions, when your confidence no longer requires constant validation, when your purpose becomes greater than temporary conflict, you become difficult to intimidate. People may still disrespect you, but they can no longer control you. And that changes everything. Because true power is not measured by how many people fear you. It is measured by how few people can disturb your peace. The strongest person in every room is rarely the loudest. It is usually the one who has mastered themselves before attempting to master anything else. That kind of strength cannot be borrowed, it cannot be faked, it cannot be purchased. It is built every single day through discipline, patience, emotional control, and unwavering self-respect until the opinions of others become nothing more than passing noise while your purpose remains unshaken. The first mistake people make when they are disrespected is believing they must respond immediately. The insult lands, the emotions rise, and before the mind has time to think, the mouth begins to speak. Anger takes control. Pride demands justice. The need to prove oneself becomes stronger than the desire to remain in control. In that single moment, the person who threw the disrespect has already achieved something far more valuable than winning an argument. They have taken control of your emotions. The strongest individuals refuse to surrender that control. They understand that every emotional reaction reveals something about them. While every moment of composure strengthens their position, power begins with emotional discipline, not physical strength, wealth, status, or influence. A person who cannot command their own emotions will eventually become a servant to the emotions of others. Every insult becomes a chain, every criticism becomes a wound, every opinion becomes a force that determines how they feel. They wake up depending on the approval of people who have never earned the right to influence their peace. That is not power. That is emotional dependence disguised as confidence. Every day, life presents opportunities to practice restraint. Someone interrupts you while you are speaking. Someone dismisses your ideas without giving them a chance. Someone laughs when you fail. Someone assumes your kindness is weakness. In those moments, your instinct may tell you to defend yourself, to argue, or to make the other person regret what they said. Instinct is often driven by ego, not wisdom. Strength is found in the space between what happens to you and how you choose to respond. That small pause is where real power is born. People who lose control often believe they are showing courage because they speak loudly, react quickly, or fight back without hesitation. In reality, they are revealing that someone else has access to their emotions. If another person's words can instantly determine your behavior, then they have become the one holding the power. Emotional mastery begins when you decide that no opinion, insult, or act of disrespect will control the direction of your thoughts or the quality of your character. Imagine a mountain standing against a violent storm. The wind screams, the rain crashes, thunder shakes the sky, yet the mountain remains exactly where it has always been. It does not argue with the storm. It does not try to overpower the wind. It simply remains grounded because its strength comes from what lies beneath the surface. Human character works the same way. If your confidence is rooted in discipline, purpose, and self-respect, something. Temporary disrespect cannot move you. The noise may surround you, but it cannot define you. Many people mistake emotional control for emotional suppression. They think remaining calm means pretending nothing happened or allowing others to walk over them. Something. True self-control is neither weakness nor avoidance. It is the ability to choose your response instead of becoming a prisoner of your first impulse. You acknowledge the disrespect, but you refuse to let it dictate your behavior. You recognize the insult, but you refuse to carry it into your future. You see the provocation, but you decline the invitation to become someone you are not. The world constantly rewards those who remain composed under pressure. Leaders who inspire confidence are rarely the ones who panic first. They are the individuals who slow down when everyone else speeds up. They think clearly when emotions cloud the judgment of others. They understand that decisions made in anger often become regrets remembered for years. One uncontrolled moment can destroy relationships, opportunities, and reputations that took decades to build. Emotional discipline protects everything that emotional impulse is willing to sacrifice. Disrespect often reveals more about the person giving it than the person receiving it. Insecure people attempt to make others feel small because they secretly feel small themselves. Those who lack inner confidence search for temporary superiority by criticizing, mocking, or humiliating others. If you respond with the same behavior, you enter their world and begin playing by their rules. The strongest response is refusing to become a reflection of someone else's bitterness. Your character should never be shaped by another person's lack of it. There will be moments when speaking is necessary, but even then, your words should come from clarity rather than anger. Calm words carry more weight than emotional outbursts. Firm boundaries spoken with confidence are far more effective than endless arguments fueled by frustration. A steady voice often commands greater respect than a raised one because it communicates certainty without desperation. The person who remains calm forces others to confront their own lack of control. Every encounter with disrespect is an opportunity to strengthen your inner foundation. Instead of asking, how can I make them regret what they said? Ask yourself, how can I become someone whose peace cannot be purchased by another person's opinion? That single shift changes everything. Your focus moves away from revenge and toward growth. Your attention leaves the behavior of others and returns to the one thing you truly control. Your self-pasturing your emotions does not happen in one dramatic moment. It is built through countless quiet decisions. It is choosing patience when anger feels easier. It is choosing silence when pride demands a response. It is choosing dignity when the world expects revenge. Every disciplined choice strengthens your mind, making the next challenge easier to face. Over time, people notice something different about you. They realize that insults no longer shake your confidence. Criticism no longer steals your focus. Negativity no longer changes your direction. They discover that your strength does not come from intimidating others or winning every argument. It comes from the rare ability to remain completely in command of yourself when everyone else is losing control. Most people believe that every act of disrespect deserves an immediate answer. They feel an invisible pressure to defend themselves, explain their actions, or prove that they are right. They imagine that silence will make them appear weak and that speaking louder will somehow restore their dignity. What they fail to realize is that many conflicts are designed to pull them into emotional battles they never needed to fight. The strongest individuals understand that not every challenge deserves their attention. They recognize that silence, when used with intention, is not surrender. It is discipline. It is the decision to remain above situations that exist only to drain time, energy, and peace. There is a unique strength in refusing to argue with people who have already decided not to understand you. Some individuals do not seek truth. They seek reactions. They provoke because your emotional response gives them satisfaction. Every explanation you offer becomes another opportunity for them to criticize. Every defense becomes another reason for them to continue attacking. They are not interested in clarity. They are interested in control. The moment you recognize this pattern, something. You stop treating every disagreement as a problem that must be solved. Some conversations are not bridges to understanding. They are traps designed to keep you emotionally occupied while your goals stand still. Something. Silence becomes powerful when it is chosen rather than forced. There is a difference between remaining quiet because of fear and remaining quiet because you have nothing to prove. Fear hides behind silence to avoid confrontation. Something. Confidence uses silence because it understands that dignity does not require constant validation. Powerful people know who they are before anyone else has the chance to define them. Their identity is not built on applause, compliments, or public approval. Something. Because of that, they are free from the exhausting need to answer every criticism that comes their way. Think about the ocean during a storm. The surface may become violent, waves crashing against one another with incredible force, but deep beneath that chaos, the water remains calm and undisturbed. Most people live only on the surface of their emotions. Every insult creates another wave. Every disagreement becomes another storm. They spend their lives reacting to what happens around them instead of remaining grounded within themselves. Those who cultivate inner strength learn to live beneath the surface. They may hear the criticism, but they are not controlled by it. They may notice the disrespect, but it never reaches the deepest part of who they are. Arguments often create the illusion of victory. Someone wins with sharper words, louder voices, or clever insults, and for a brief moment they feel superior. Yet very little changes afterward. Pride may be satisfied, but wisdom is rarely gained. Relationships become damaged, opportunities disappear. Emotional wounds remain open long after the conversation has ended. The individual who walked away with temporary satisfaction often sacrificed lasting peace. Truly powerful people measure success differently. They ask whether a conversation moved them closer to their purpose or farther away from it. If it served only to satisfy ego, they consider it a poor investment of their time. Every minute spent defending yourself to people determined to misunderstand you is a minute stolen from your growth. While others remain trapped in endless debates, disciplined individuals continue building their skills, improving their character, expanding their knowledge, and strengthening their future. They understand that progress speaks more convincingly than explanations ever could. Results silence critics in ways arguments never will. Success answers questions that words cannot. Excellence has a voice that does not require shouting. Many people overestimate the importance of being understood by everyone. They believe their happiness depends upon convincing every critic, correcting every rumor, or changing every opinion. This is an impossible mission. No matter how honestly you live, someone will misunderstand your intentions. No matter how carefully you explain yourself, someone will twist your words. The attempt to satisfy every observer becomes a prison where your life is controlled by the expectations of strangers. Freedom begins when you accept that your responsibility is to live with integrity, not to manage the opinions of every person you encounter. Silence also creates space for observation. While emotional people rush to speak, calm individuals pay attention. They notice body language, hidden motives, inconsistencies, and intentions that others overlook. A person who talks constantly often reveals more than they realize. A person who listens carefully gains information without exposing their own position. This is why thoughtful individuals rarely feel the need to dominate every conversation. They understand that knowledge grows through listening, while unnecessary speaking often weakens influence. Remaining silent does not mean accepting disrespect forever. There are moments when firm action becomes necessary. Boundaries must be established. Harmful behavior should not be tolerated. The difference is that these actions are taken from a place of emotional balance rather than wounded pride. Calm decisions are usually more effective than emotional revenge because they are guided by purpose instead of impulse. The strongest boundary is one enforced with confidence rather than anger. It communicates self-respect without descending into hostility. People often mistake quiet confidence for weakness until they witness its results. They assume that someone who refuses to argue lacks courage. Later, they discover that the quiet individual was never avoiding conflict. They were protecting their focus. While others wasted months fighting meaningless battles, they spent that same time becoming wiser, stronger, and more capable. Their silence was not empty. It was filled with preparation, discipline, and deliberate growth. Eventually, their actions became impossible to ignore, and the same people who questioned their restraint began to respect the strength that required no dramatic display. The ability to remain silent in moments of disrespect is one of the rarest forms of self-mastery. It demands patience when emotions demand immediate release. It requires confidence when ego begs for recognition. It calls for wisdom when pride seeks revenge. Every time you choose thoughtful silence over meaningless argument, you protect your peace, preserve your dignity, and remind yourself that your value has never depended on winning every conversation or having the final word. Every act of disrespect presents you with a choice. You can spend your energy trying to destroy the person who offended you, or you can invest that same energy into becoming someone they can never ignore again. Most people choose revenge because it offers immediate emotional satisfaction. They replay the insult in their minds, imagine arguments they wish they had won, and dedicate countless hours to proving another person wrong. They believe they are fighting for their dignity, but in reality, they are allowing someone else's behavior to control the direction of their life. Truly powerful people make a different decision. They transform disrespect into fuel, using every insult as motivation to grow stronger, wiser, and more disciplined. Pain is one of life's greatest teachers, but only for those willing to learn from it. Others allow pain to become permanent bitterness. They carry old wounds into every new relationship, every opportunity, and every challenge. They become suspicious of everyone because they never healed from yesterday's disappointment. They become angry at the world because someone once underestimated them. Their future becomes a prison built from memories they refuse to release. Strong individuals understand that pain should become a lesson, not an identity. They refuse to let a single moment of disrespect define the rest of their life. There is something remarkable about people who quietly improve after being underestimated. They do not announce their plans. They do not seek sympathy. They do not spend months explaining how unfair life has been. Instead, they disappear into disciplined work. While others continue talking about what happened, they begin building a version of themselves that makes the past almost unrecognizable. They understand that the greatest answer to doubt is not another conversation. It is undeniable progress. Every successful person has experienced rejection, criticism, and disrespect. The difference is not that they were treated better than everyone else. The difference is how they interpreted those experiences. Some saw rejection as proof they should stop trying. Others saw rejection as evidence that they still had room to improve. The same event can either destroy your confidence or strengthen your determination. Your perspective determines which path you follow. Imagine a blacksmith shaping a piece of steel. The metal is exposed to intense heat, struck repeatedly with a hammer, and forced through conditions that seem destructive. Yet every strike has a purpose. Every challenge strengthens the steel instead of weakening it. Human character develops in much the same way. Life applies pressure, criticism, setbacks, and disrespect not to break those who are disciplined, but to refine them. Those who embrace hardship become stronger because they refuse to waste suffering. They extract wisdom from every difficult experience. Most people focus too much on changing other people. They want critics to apologize. They want doubters to admit they were wrong. They want everyone to recognize their value before they are willing to believe in themselves. This approach gives away enormous power. When your confidence depends upon someone else's acknowledgement, your peace remains outside your control. Powerful people reverse this mindset. They work on becoming so skilled, so disciplined, and so consistent that recognition becomes a natural consequence rather than a desperate pursuit. Growth requires sacrifice. There will be evenings when comfort calls your name, yet discipline asks you to keep working. There will be mornings when excuses appear easier than commitment. There will be seasons when nobody notices your effort, applauds your progress, or encourages your journey. This is where many people quit. They mistake invisibility for failure. They assume that that because nobody is watching, their effort has no value. Wise individuals understand that the most important transformations happen in silence. Roots grow beneath the ground long before anyone admires the tree. Disrespect often exposes the areas of life where you still need to grow. If a single insult completely destroys your confidence, perhaps your confidence has been built upon approval rather than character. If criticism instantly makes you angry, perhaps your emotions still require discipline. Instead of viewing disrespect only as an attack, consider it a mirror. Sometimes it reveals weaknesses that comfort would have hidden forever. The purpose is not to accept cruel treatment, but to use every difficult experience as information that helps you become stronger. One of the greatest mistakes people make is becoming obsessed with proving others wrong. Their lives become centered around the opinions of those who doubted them. Every achievement is dedicated to critics instead of personal purpose. They may eventually succeed, but they remain emotionally connected to people who no longer deserve a place in their minds. Real freedom arrives when your motivation comes from your own vision rather than someone else's disbelief. Growth becomes healthier when it is inspired by purpose instead of revenge. Time is your most valuable resource. Every hour spent replaying an insult is an hour that could have been invested in learning a new skill, strengthening your body, sharpening your mind, expanding your knowledge, or creating opportunities. Imagine what would happen if every painful experience became another reason to improve rather than another excuse to complain. Imagine the transformation that would occur if every criticism pushed you toward greater discipline instead of deeper resentment. Your future would no longer be shaped by the actions of others, but by the choices you make after facing adversity. The strongest individuals develop an unusual relationship with obstacles. They no longer ask why difficult things happen to them. Instead, they ask what each challenge can teach them. Every disappointment becomes training. Every setback becomes preparation. Every act of disrespect becomes another reminder that true confidence cannot be built through comfort alone. It is forged through repeated decisions to remain committed when quitting appears easier. There is no shortcut to becoming difficult to intimidate. Confidence built overnight disappears just as quickly. Lasting strength is earned through thousands of ordinary moments where discipline defeats emotion. It is choosing improvement over retaliation, patience over impulsiveness, consistency over temporary excitement, and purpose over wounded pride. Every day you refuse to let disrespect distract you from your mission, you reclaim another piece of your power. Every skill you develop, every habit you strengthen, and every lesson you embrace becomes another layer of protection that no insult can remove. Eventually, people who once underestimated you begin to notice the quiet transformation, not because you demanded their respect, but because your character, discipline, and unwavering commitment have become impossible to overlook.